Isn't it rich? Are we a pair? Me here at last on the ground, you in midair, sent in the clouds. Isn't it bliss? Don't you approve? One who keeps tearing around, one who can't move. Where are the clouds? Send in the clouds. Just when I'd stopped opening doors, finally knowing the one that I wanted was yours, making my entrance again with my usual flair, sure of my lines, no one is there. Don't you love farce? My fault, I fear. I thought that you'd want what I want. Sorry, my dear. But where are the clouds? Quick, send in the clouds. Don't bother, they're here. Isn't it rich? Isn't it queer? Losing my timing this late in my career. And where are the clouds? Well, maybe next year.
I'm so glad I heard that clap, because otherwise I was going to ask for it. I was going to ask for sending in Eli. Good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Brubaker, and I'm glad to be here. I'm your worship associate for today. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. Today is Palm Sunday, which begins the Holy Week, ending in Easter for Christians around the world. The Islamic holy month of Ramadan continues. This past Friday was the International Transgender Day of Visibility, and the Jewish marking of the Passover begins Wednesday. A rather full plate, right? So here we come together in spirit, connect in love, and act for justice. We welcome you this morning, just as you are, whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, however you identify today, you are part of our spiritual community. And if this is your first time here, may you soon discover this is also your spiritual community. As has become our custom, please let us give a special welcome to those joining this service this morning on Zoom, and there's the camera. I invite those on Zoom to turn your camera on and share a wave together, just like I'm doing. Morning, Zoomers. And everyone in the sanctuary, we've already done that. We're going to wave and so on. During our time together, please do what you need to do to feel fully present in this space. Move, sway, walk around. I won't shame you. If doing something with your hands helps you feel present, please feel free to use the hands-on materials on the tables in the Women's Memorial Room in the back. While we are in search of one or two child care assistants, help us in the playroom. Families are welcome to use the playroom during service. Someone will be able to show you where it is. All that we ask is that you leave it as you found it, so that it is ready for the co-op's use on Monday. You could even use your device and follow along with the service while you watch your little ones. Hi. At this time, I would like to invite Carol Campbell, a member of the board, to the podium.
Good morning, all here and there. I welcome you all, a welcome extended from your Board of Trustees, your hardworking board. And let us consider the sacred space that we are now in and acknowledge the truth of the land beneath and around us. We are gathered on land once inhabited by people known as the Susquehannocks and Conestoga. We acknowledge the violent legacies of genocide, displacement, and settlement that led to us being here today, and remind ourselves to live humbly in relation with this land and with all of the indigenous people still living and loving on this continent. Many indigenous people say, all are relative. All are relative. May we live into this truth and aspire together. And now I'd like to introduce our wonderful Reverend Patricia Guzman-Haresh.
Thank you, Carol. Good morning, everyone. Now, the introduction to this service did promise some laughs, some George Carlin, but I think our Send in the Clown song reminds us that all life is kind of tragic comic, right? There's a little bit of both that we hold together. I think in anxious times, in hard times, in stressful times, let us remember to hold on to the joy. And I guess that's what we're talking about today. It's not always all laughs, right? But when we can, let's capture that joy. And so with that in mind and the spiritual discipline of laughter, I'm going to share these words from the Reverend Barbara Ten Hove while Chris lights the chalice. As we gather on this sacred ground that Carol just described, I call us into worship. Worship means to shape things of worth. What shall we shape together today? Time, community, energy, commitment. What worthy things call us to be together? Laughter, tears, memory, hope. May our time together bring us joy. May we shape the joy into creativity. May we mold that creativity into play. May we sculpt that play into community. And may that community sustain and hold us as we gather together today. So let us sing together. Eli will lead us in singing number 354 in the gray hymnal. Of course, we laugh, we cry.
And we'll be doing the first 3 verses. If the words are too much and this is unfamiliar, feel free to sing la or pa on the chorus. That part's catchy, I promise. You may rise and body your spirit as you feel. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends who call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found the need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us, and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. We dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of us. Chorus, ready? We believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found the time to be together. And with the grace of age, we share the wonder of youth. And we believe that growing is an end. Verse 3, here we go, ready? Our lives are full of wonder and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we share with friends, they will linger on. And last chorus, and we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a place to be together. Everything you have, ready? We have the right to grow. We have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer.
This is the time in the service when anyone who's a child by age or in spirit would like to come on up and join me, because I want to see what's in the wonder box. I wonder what's in the wonder box, and then we'll maybe have a story to share. Come on up. Oh, it's so good to see Anthony. I keep telling him that. It's good to see you guys too. Oh, we got a few people coming. Awesome. Ooh, what do we find in there? What do you see? Oh, you can take out the bag? And maybe, you know what? Yeah, is there something in there? I think there might be. Come on up. What kind of a stuffy? What kind of stuffy is that? Is there a rooster?
Yeah.
What? Oh, there's a rooster, a pig, a hatching duck or chicken, we think. What else? Okay, and what's that last one? Oh, and a lamb. What sound does a chick make? How about a pig? Yeah, and what about a rooster? Not cock-a-doodle-doo. And a sheep? You're making me think of a story. Okay. I'm thinking of a farm, and I'm thinking of a farm a long, long time ago. And this is an old Yiddish tale. And so we're going to go back to the old world, the so-called old world of Europe over the ocean, a long, long time. Hi, sweeties. A long, long time ago. And back in that day, you might have found like a whole town was Catholic, maybe a whole town was Lutheran, and maybe a whole town was Jewish. And they had customs together and celebrated their traditions together. And there was a kind of a poor man, but a very serious Jewish man, who would try to read their sacred text, the Torah, like the Bible, every Saturday, because that was their holy day. It was Saturday, not Sunday. It was Saturday. And he would try and read the Torah. But you know, there was so much noise in the house and going on, right? His wife would always be singing and clunking the pots and pans around, and the kids would be playing. It was so hard in their small house to be just quietly reading and studying. So during the week when he was in the village, he found the wisest man in town, who was the rabbi. And he said to the rabbi, "What am I going to do? You know, I try to read the Bible. I tried to read the Torah. But every time I do, there's so much noise." And the rabbi thought, you know, they always had beards, right? The rabbi thought, and he said, "You know, do you have chickens? Chickens? That's a baby chicken. Do you have why don't you grab a couple of chickens and bring them to the house? Bring them into the house." And the man, are you sure, Rabbi? Yeah, bring them into the house. It could be worse. Could be worse. So he brings in the chickens, and the next Saturday, it was kind of nuts because he heard, and the kids are playing, and his wife is singing and banging around. And next time he saw the rabbi, he said, "You know, Rabbi, it's quite noisy in the house. I don't think it got better." And the rabbi thought, and he said, "Well, you know, do you have a cow?" "Do you have a cow?" I say, "Bring in the cow. Bring the cow in from the barnyard, and believe me, it could be worse." That's what he said. And so he brought the cow into the house, and next Saturday, as he started to read, he heard the cow and the chickens and the children playing around and the wife banging the pots. Next time he saw the rabbi, I don't think it got better. I think it got a little worse, as a matter of fact. Rabbi thought, what else do we got there? Oh, we've got a sheep. Do you have a couple of sheep? Oh, and next we'll do pigs. Yeah. Bring in the sheep. Are you sure, Rabbi? Yeah, bring in the sheep. Bring them in. It could be worse, right? So he goes home, And what does he have next Saturday? He's got the sheep and the cow and the chickens and a rooster came in with the chickens somehow. Where'd that rooster come? Next time he sees the rabbi, right? You know, Rabbi, all respect, right? It's not getting better. Have you brought in the pigs? Are you sure, Rabbi? Oh, yeah, I'm telling you. Could be wise, could be wise. So, next Saturday, he's got the pigs, he's got the cow, he's got the sheep, the chickens and the rooster came in. How can you? Next time he saw the rabbi, Rabbi, I'm really beside myself. Do you have any other ideas? And he thought, okay, why don't you send them all back to the barnyard? Send them all back. Really? Keep the kids and the wife, but send back the animals, right? Really? Yes. He ran. He ran to the barnyard, I'm telling you, and he ran home. He opened up all the gates in the barnyard, and he got all those animals out of the house. And what do you think? That next Saturday, it was so good to hear the children playing. That was such a joy. He never thought his wife sounded so good. He always thought before she was kind of out of tune, but this Saturday she sounded beautiful. And knowing that the house was getting cleaned up in those pots and pans while he could read the Torah, it was a joy. And he thought to himself, you know, the rabbi was right. It could be voice. That's right. So that's what all those animals are. So why don't you leave the animals here? And I understand, you know, we heard from Chris that Passover is coming up. And some people are even going to celebrate early today after the service. But I think you're going to learn a little bit more about Passover in the classroom today while Eli sings us out with Go Lifted Up, right? So you can go on back or go on to class.
Number
so happy to see you.
1057, for anyone who wants to sing along. Go lifted up, love bless your way, moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of day.
I love that story. If I've told it to you before, I'm sorry. I could tell that again and again. I always wish that you could find an elephant in the barnyard because my nieces and nephews always felt that was Aunt Pat's best sound. But I have lipstick on right now, so it's a little hard. Maybe sometime remind me and I'll do Aunt Pat's elephant for you. But I'm going to share with you in this time when we center, we were right in our bellies, which in some faith traditions is the human center, by the way, is your belly. But actually in Jewish and Christian tradition and in some Eastern traditions, your heart is your center, a very important chakra for some. But let us go to that center, that heart, and take a quiet moment of prayer. And I will introduce this moment with words from the late poet, Mary Oliver. That time I thought I could not go any closer to grief without dying. I went closer, and I did not die. Still I was bent, and my laughter, as the poet said, was nowhere to be found. Then said my friend Daniel, brave even among the lions, it's not the weight you carry, but how you carry it. Books, bricks, grief, it's all in the way you embrace it, balance it, carry it, when you cannot and would not put it down. So I went practicing. Have you noticed? Have you heard the laughter that comes now and again out of my startled mouth? How I linger to admire the things in this world that are kind and maybe also troubled. Roses in the wind, the sea geese on the steep waves, a love to which there is no reply. May we admire the things that are kind and maybe also troubled. That's the world, isn't it? May it be so. This morning, I'm going to name some joys and sorrows out loud while Chris leaves some stones in the sand. And as I've said before, may we think of them as like seeds that grow, tendrils of compassion and strength and joy. Some of the things I'll name today, there's a few stones to leave in our sand. It's just every week, another shooting in another school. It's become too common. A stone of sorrow, many for the continued news, but also stones of hope that there can be action. It isn't that we can't do anything. Stones of compassion and concern for all this severe weather and tornadoes. Severe weather, did anyone forecast that? Was anyone thinking that that could happen, severe weather? I think Green Sanctuary in our congregation is considering becoming more active, yes? A stone of compassion and concern for our Lillian, who's home, but really would love calls and visits. A stone of hope that the anti-transgender laws being proposed across the country may be blocked. I don't know about you, but I feel like whiplash, like we've gone backwards about 50 years in so many different ways. Many stones of hope that doesn't happen and we can go forward again. At this time, whether you're participating on Zoom and want to take out your stones and water or sand, and those who are here in the sanctuary, if there are joys and sorrows, celebrations, concerns on your heart, you're welcome to come and plant a stone as well at this time. let us take just a moment more of quiet and hold those joys and sorrows and complex truths and celebrations. Hold them all together in our hearts and just take a moment of silence. Let us be still.
A very familiar tune. Please feel free to sing along. If you don't know the words, you can use your phone and look up the words, but put it away afterward. What a wonderful world. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, you can sing it. It's okay. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright, blessed day, the dark, sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful Thanks, everyone.
If I may say, it's a world of complex truths also, and I'll tell you why in a minute. As a worship associate, I am now tasked to read something from George Carlin. What a wonderful world! And I have permission to not say the words, but to say the word bleep or beep, so you'll know and you can fill in your own blanks. And I actually am wearing something today that applies to the reading, and it's your job to figure it out, including our minister, because she and I had a little conversation, but not enough to solve it. So here we go. The title of what I'm reading is Religion is Bull Bleep by George Carlin from the album You Are All Deceased, 1999, and therefore in the spirit of spiritual discipline of laughter, a few words on religion in the irreverent voice of the late stand-up comedian George Carlin. Okay. Think about it. Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything we do every minute of the day, and the invisible man has a special list of 10 things that he does not want to see you doing. No. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place. It's not in the barn, it's worse. Full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish, where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry, oh, the list goes on, forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you. Who knew? He loves you, and he needs money. Remember, this is George Carlin saying this. He always needs money. He's all-powerful, all-perfect, all-knowing, all-wise, but somehow he just can't handle money. Religion takes in billions of dollars. They pay no taxes, and they always need just a little bit more. I want you to know that when it comes to believing in God, I really tried. I indeed believe that there is a God who created each of us in his own image and likeness. And he loves us very much and keeps a close eye on things. I really tried to believe that, but I gotta tell you, the longer you live and the more you look around and the more you realize something is wrong. War, disease, death, destruction, hunger, filth, poverty, torture, crime, corruption, and the demolition derby? We need that laughter. Keep it up. This is not a good work if this is the best God can do. I am not impressed. Results like this do not balance on the resume of a supreme being. There is a kind of bleep you'd expect from an office temp and a bad attitude. And just between you and me, in any decently run universe, this guy wouldn't be out on his all-powerful bleep a long time ago. And by the way, I say this guy because I firmly believe, looking at the results, that if there was a God, it would have to be a man. Thin ice. No woman could or would ever bleep things like this. I decided to look around for something else to worship, something I could really count on. And immediately I thought of the sun. Happened like that. Overnight, I became a sun worshiper. Well, not overnight. You can't see the sun at night, but first thing in the morning, I became a sun worshiper. Several reasons. First of all, I can see the sun, okay? Unlike other gods I could mention, I could actually see the sun. I'm big on that. If I can't see something, I don't know if it is the kind that helps the credibility along, you know. So every day I see the sun, it gives me everything I need: heat, light, food, flowers in the park, reflections in the lake, an occasional, skin cancer. Yeah, been there, done that. But hey, at least there are no crucifixions, and we're not setting people on fire simply because they don't agree with us. The best thing about the sun is it doesn't tell me I'm a bad person, and who needs to be told that to be saved. Hasn't said an unkind word, treats me fine, so I worship the sun. I don't pray to the sun. You know who I pray to? Joe Pesci. All right, 2 reasons, as if we needed them. First of all, I think he's a good actor, okay? To me, that counts. Second, he looks like a guy who can get things done. Joe Pesci doesn't mess around. In fact, Joe Pesci came through on a couple of things that God was having trouble with. So, crazy as this sounds, God bless Joe Pesci. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Joe Pesci, and bless you. And now you know why I am dressed the way I am.
Would George Carlin preach anywhere else? So a little known thing about me is I really like biting, sarcastic comedians. Maybe I'll pull out some more for you. When I was serving my small, sweet congregation in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, my worship committee co-chair challenged me. And he suggested if Unitarian Universalists had saints, George Carlin should be among them. And so shouldn't we have a feast day to honor George Carlin? You know, you have a feast day on the day they died, which I think is in June sometime. So we were getting all prepared for the St. George Carlin Feast Day Sunday service. And I was all in, and we were going to read George Carlin jokes, and it was going to be puns and fun and comedy. And then, and you know too, it was also a time like now, right? Economic uncertainty, natural disasters, anxious times, I guess it's like always, political tensions, right? And I thought, yeah, we could use a good, light service, right? Time to forget about all the sadness and the bitterness and division. And I would speak on laughing as a spiritual discipline, right? But then the countdown began. And the countdown on the life of the daughter of one of our beloved congregants. A woman who was a year younger than me, who was as beautiful outside as in. She was known in the community, grew up there, small community. Family was an historical family in the community. She was a beloved music teacher and performer. Her husband had a role in the county, 3 amazing boys, and the countdown had begun. And the day before I was to deliver the St. George Carlin service was the day of her memorial. And I knew that Sunday in the meeting house would be a day filled with a lot of grieving people and heavy hearts. And I asked the St. George Carlin service for just a moment, right? We could do that another time. And I say that on the one hand, but I also want to share with you the picture I carry of myself on the way to the memorial, on the way to the celebration of life. So it's a Saturday morning, and I turn on the public radio as I'm driving to a different island. We were on one island. I'm going to, I can't even remember, Manio. Manio is on the next island. And I'm going to the next island, and on my drive, I turn on the public radio, and guess what's on? It's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Are you familiar with that show? So the guy who's the host is a comedian and has a panel of comedians commenting on current issues of the day, right? And I'm listening on my way to be the officiant of this horrible celebration of life, right? This tragic moment. And what I remember they were discussing is, do you remember the old ads with pork? That the national, what was it, the National Association of Pork or whatever would have, that it was the other white meat, right? And what the comedians were talking about is that they realized that that was a bad slogan, and they were done with that. They needed a new slogan. So the comedians were bantering around what would be the next best slogan about pork, right? So one of them said, oh, pigs, secretly they enjoy being eaten. Pork, it takes a licking and also a chewing and a swallowing. I don't know. Pigs, inventors of bacon. And of course, from my theological training, this was my most favorite. Pork, the only thing Jews and Muslims can agree on. So here I am laughing my full head off, driving up to the memorial service, right? And I'm driving up, and there are 400 people attended this outdoor graveside service. And it was on historical land where the generations had been buried. There were going to be dignitaries, the mayor, the county council people, the kids who had grown up with Kathy and had been her students. I mean, this was a somber, august event, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm not crying because I was laughing, and the funeral directors see me coming and they point me to the important parking space for the, somber officiant, right? And as I get, I'm trying to hold it and don't giggle. And I get out of the car and I look down at my feet, and you gotta remember the Outer Banks is on the beach, and I grab the wrong sandals. And I'm looking down at my feet, and they are the hippiest, open-toed, dirtiest, sandiest sandals that you could imagine. My unmanicured, pedicured toes hanging out, and I'm about ready to start laughing again, right? And I'm thinking, oh no, they're gonna have this impression of, Unitarian Universalist, hippy-dippy, officiants or whatever. Doesn't she have, what it takes to be serious in the moment? And I hold on, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna laugh. I'm just gonna go on as if, right? I'm wearing my closed-toed, dignified shoes, right? I mean, these are things that female officiants think about. Do guys think about this when you were? No, see, I'm getting a conference. Men didn't have to think about these things. You always wore the same black suit and the same, anyway. So I'm trying to hold it together. Here I was at this very sad event to honor such a beautiful, giving woman who died too soon at the age of 48. Her oldest boy was just entering college. One guy had entering graduate school, one guy in high school. Whole community suffering. And a family who I cried about just thinking about in those months entering this time. And there I was, my heart filled with grief, my heart filled with laughter, at the graveside, at the very graveside. From the late Vietnamese Buddhist priest and peace activist Thich Nhat Hanh. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and all my laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Joy and pain one? How can that be, right? Well, there they were, right there. I was evidence that his poem was true. Joy and pain sitting right there together. Oftentimes, I think in this dualistic either-or, what we call Western world that we live in, it's either all joy or all sorrow. We're either happy, 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 stuff the sorrow, sad, we forget about the joy. But I often will share about my professor of Eastern traditions. He was both an Anglican priest and a Buddhist priest. And he would always say, is it this? Is it that? And we always knew the answer. It's both. Always there together. And it was through this professor that I first learned the practice of sitting in meditation, the Eastern practice. And my first experience of really a traditional Eastern practice was at his house. He had a small class, and we all gathered at his house, and he turned on a video of Alan Watts. And if you're familiar with Alan Watts, he was known to be one of the ones who brought Eastern tradition to the Western world. And he had this very kind of dull lecture on meditation, and he was going on and a beautiful British voice, and at the end, he said, okay, now we're ready for meditation, and he just put his head back and started laughing. Just started laughing. And we were all like shocked. It was sort of like, when you're in church and you think you shouldn't laugh, right? We're like, is it okay for us to laugh? Isn't meditation and prayer serious? Should we? Well, we awkwardly laughed. And the professor invited us to start laughing. He said, no, this is the practice of laughing meditation. There's a practice of laughing. And we laughed, and the laughter was infectious. It was infectious. And it made me think, too, there's a story that goes around Unitarian Universalist circles. And there was a young mother and her son, and they were doing church shopping, kind of looking for a church. And each church they visited was like, not hitting us, right, And finally they went to a Unitarian church, and apparently this was the first Unitarian church of Detroit. And for the whole week afterwards, the little boy would say to his mom, can we go back to that church where they laugh, right? Let us be that church where the kids can say, and the adults laugh there, right? That laughing meditation, we can laugh. And it makes me think of that familiar image of the laughing Buddha, right? The laughing Buddha, the jolly Buddha. I remember my grandparents had a big Buddha in their house, and each of us would rub the Buddha's belly, right, for luck when we went by. But this isn't really what that laughing Buddha is supposed to be about. It isn't just, remember to be happy and, oh, that laughing fella. There's one of our Unitarian ministers, the Reverend James Ishmael Ford, is known to be a Buddhist UU. And he tells the story of hearing that his congregation was going to give him a Buddha. And somebody let him know about the secret. And he was very excited that he was going to get this gift of a Buddha from his congregation. But instead, what they gave him was a concrete, for his garden, laughing Buddha. And he said, I tried to veil my disappointment. He said, actually, that isn't a Buddha. That figure is actually Hote. Hote always has a wide grin. These are James' words. A wide grin and an even wider stomach. Sometimes the sitting version has kids crawling all over him. And we think of him as sort of a Santa Claus with his bowl full of jelly. But he actually was an historic Zen monk that would travel the villages and give treats to the children. Together with the Bodhisattva Jizu, his patron, a protector of children in East Asian culture, a very admirable figure. But there's two sides to everything, or it's all right there. And he said James found himself thinking of the story of the broken glass. One day some people came to the master. How can you be so happy in a world of such impermanence? where you cannot protect your loved ones from harm, illness, and death. And the master held up I have a glass. The master held up a glass. And he said, look at this beautiful glass, how it glistens in the sun, how it holds my water so elegantly, the water that I depend on. But he said, I know the glass is already broken. So I enjoy the water in the glass incredibly. The glass is already broken, so I enjoy it incredibly. So this is one of those concepts in religion, in all the religions, that the world is imperfect and broken. There will be poor always, disease, disasters, hunger, cruelty, and injustice. But every day we must live as if there is love and fairness, and that children aren't left to die hungry, and that we can help make a better world, and that someday there might be more peace in the world, and that maybe there can be conflict that won't end in violence. Only if we live as if, and hold on whatever joy and give whatever love that we can. Laugh when we can, and laugh incredibly. I was going to read a whole long poem, but I know we're getting down to the end. I think back to Thich Nhat Hanh's poem. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and my laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and my pain are one. My joy is like spring so warm, it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears so vast it fills 4 oceans. May we hold on to joy. May we not forget our pain and take care of that pain and be soft with ourselves and gentle with ourselves. Our joy and our pain intermingle as one, and may that pain remind us of how great joy and love and laughter is. So let us sing something fun. Let us sing I Love to Laugh. The lyrics are in your order service, and if you know the song, there'll be a time you think, I should insert laughter here. Go ahead and do it.
I'm going to say whenever you want to laugh, please laugh. Because the song is funnier the more laughter there is. So don't leave me hanging up here by myself. If you need to stand, that's fine too. I love to laugh loud and long and clear. I love to laugh. It's getting worse every year. The more I laugh, the more I fill with glee. The more I laugh, the more I'm a merrier me. The more I'm a merrier me. Some people laugh through their noses, sounding something like this. You got it. Some people laugh through their teeth, goodness sake, hissing and fizzing like snakes. Some laugh too fast. Some only blast. Others, they twitter like birds. Oh. and then there's the kind that can't make up their mind. When they strike me as funny, I can't hide it inside and squeak as the squealers do. I've got to let go with a ho 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 and a ha too. Oh, you know this part, ready? We love to laugh loud and long and clear. We love to laugh so everybody can hear. The more you laugh, the more we fill with glee. The more we, the more we're a merrier we. One more time. The more we're a merrier we. Thank you so much.
Aha, that's my little one. This is the time in our service when we pass the plate and accept your offerings. You may also go to our website and make a donation online, you folks on Zoom. A portion of the offering will be shared this month with the Lancaster Cleft Palate Clinic, established in 1938. In fact, it is the oldest clinic in the world, make note of that, to the comprehensive care of children born with cleft lips, palates, or other craniofacial abnormalities, regardless of their ability to pay. Before we pass the plates, let us read in unison the affirmation of faith. Oops. Found. Okay. In the front of your hymnal. And first in English and second in Spanish, please. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ofrenda. Este es nuestro gran pacto, el convivir unidos en paz, el buscar la verdad en amor, y ayudarnos unos a los otros. While the plates are passed, I will be making some announcements. And then following the announcements, feel free to greet your neighbors in the pew in front or behind you. Do look at our weekly email newsletter, the Love Letter, for weekly need-to-knows, events at the UUCL, as well as our Facebook page and website calendar. To sign up for the newsletter, contact our office. So, we are always looking to spread the love and joy on Sundays to those who would like to help with the morning. If you are interested in being a worship associate, please let Reverend Pat know. If you would like to be part of the choir, play an instrument, or become a member of the tech team, let Eli know. If you would like to be part of the First Sunday Coffee Hour, let Pat Cluey know. And now, the plates have been passed. We gratefully receive your generous gifts that are freely given and dedicate them to the work and aspirations of this congregation. At this time, if you would like to say hello to your front pew neighbor or your back pew neighbor, please do so briefly. Thank you so much for the service today. And now we're going to move into going forth.
Let's go for it. Thank you for your gifts. You know what I forgot during our Joy, Sorrows, and Complex Truths is that this is our first Sunday of the month. Any birthdays out there? Any April birthdays? I see one. Any more?
April birthdays.
Any April birthdays? I have twin niece and nephew in their 30s, and it's their birthday today. Any other? We need to sing happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear April baby. You said so. Happy birthday to you.
It's a joy for us. So let us extinguish our chalice on that note, on this beautiful April day. These are words from Hafiz. What is laughter? What is laughter? Hafiz says it is God waking up. God waking up. It is the sun poking its sweet head out from behind a cloud you have been carrying too long, veiling your eyes and heart. It's a light breaking ground for a great structure that is your real body called truth. It is happiness applauding itself and then taking flight to embrace everyone and everything in this world. Oh, what is laughter, Hafiz? What is this precious love and laughter budding in our hearts? It is the glorious sound of the soul waking up. Enjoy this day. Go in love, go in peace, go in happiness, and feel free to stay and sing along with our postlude, and happy birthday.
Some of you may know this. Some things in life are bad. They can really make you mad. Other things just make you swear and curse. When you're chewing on life's gristle, don't grumble, give a whistle. And this'll help things turn out for the best. And always think of the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life.
The next verse.
If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you forgot. And that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing. When you feel it in the dumps, oh, don't be silly chumps. Just purse your lips and whistle, that's the thing. And everywhere, always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. Get about your sin.